Hey guys, this is going to be my labor and delivery story. So I was 39 weeks and 1 day pregnant, and it was a Friday, and around 2 a.m. on that day I had woke up with some contractions and was having difficulty sleeping through them, but I figured they were from the night or the day before we went on a really long walk. So I figured they were just from that, and I've been having a lot of random contractions for a few weeks prior to that, so I just didn't think much of them, and I tried to just sleep through them. And then we woke up to take my husband to work around 7, and waking up I was experiencing them, and I was able to kind of pay attention to exactly how far apart they were, and they were about 7 minutes apart. That day I had my 39-week checkup at 10 a.m. so I was, texting Gavin, and I talked to my mom a little bit, debating should I go in now or should I just wait until my appointment and have the doctor check me at my appointment. I also had Ellie with me. Gavin was working. I didn't want to cry wolf and get him out of work if it wasn't actual labor, and I was just kind of flip-flopping back and forth, and the contractions were getting pretty intense, but I don't know, I like second guessed myself because I didn't want to be wrong, I guess. So it was about 9 a.m. and Gavin and I decided that we would just go to the appointment, just Ellie and I go to the appointment and then see where we were from there. So I packed up the van with all of our hospital bag stuff and ran around the house like crazy, and as I'm doing this, of course, Ellie is tearing up everything we're getting into, so I left the house in like a complete wreck. But I was very uncomfortable. I was experiencing a lot of pain, and I was kind of getting worried and stressed, so we just barreled out of the house really quickly. I got to my appointment and I was having contractions that were about 5 minutes apart by the time I got there. Driving there was probably not the smartest thing because I was experiencing contractions while I was driving on the highway, and it was bad. But I was in like the far right lane going like 10 under the speed limit, but we made it there safe. And anyway, gotta focus. So I told on the little paper when you sign in, if you have any questions or concerns, I said I think I'm in labor. So the doctor came in and was like, so you think you're in labor, what are you thinking? And right as she said that, I was like, hold on, and I got a contraction, and she was like, I think you might be in labor too. So she checked my cervix, and this is the first time I've had my cervix checked since I had gone in at, I think, 33 weeks for, was it 33 weeks? 30 weeks? Oh my gosh, I have like no memory. When I went in for contractions earlier in this pregnancy, and when I went in then, I was like I think she said 1 centimeter. So anyway, she checked me and I was at 5 centimeters, and she quickly was like, okay, where's your phone? Let's get your phone right now. You need to call your husband if you've only been laboring since, because I told her I had been laboring since 7 a.m. because that's when I knew for sure I was having contractions. She was like, if it's gone this fast, you need to have your husband here right now. And she said you need to go straight up to labor and delivery, and because it's all in the same establishment, thank goodness. And so I was panicking. She was saying that he might not be here for this delivery, and I was trying so hard not to cry because I was, like, oh my gosh, I should have brought him with me. What was I thinking? I had Ellie with me. I was in pain, and I was starting to just freak out. So I left that appointment and I went out into the hall, and I called our friend who was going to be watching Ellie, and tried to be calm and was like, okay, you need to come and try to get her. I said, to get in contact with Gavin, and I called Gavin and said, okay, you need to get your butt here like right now. Went upstairs and I got put into like a triage room, and while I'm in there, they're giving me my IV and everything like that while I have Ellie experiencing contractions. And I was just stressing out, thinking like, please, I don't want to be dilating anymore while I have Ellie here and Gavin's not here. It was just bad. It probably, looking back on it now, wasn't as bad as I thought it was, but I was just, not prepared. I felt very unprepared and just stressed out. So Gavin got there, and then shortly after he got there, our friend got there to pick up Ellie. They went out to the car and switched everything from the van into her vehicle. By the time Gavin came back, I was admitted into a room, and I was still at 5 centimeters at that point. I met the doctor that would be on shift for the daytime, so I would probably have her to deliver Lyla, and I started to like breathe a little bit more. My contractions at that point were about 3 minutes apart, and they were getting really intense, really sharp, and just like unbearable. My goal was to not have an epidural. Obviously, I think I've voiced that before, but they kind of made me freak out because they were like, okay, if you want an epidural, you need to decide now, because our anesthesiologist was about to go into surgery for a C-section. So they said, you know, you need to decide this right now, or you probably won't get an opportunity to have it. So I waited until I was like probably in the triage or in the actual delivery room for about 20 minutes before I was like, okay, if these contractions are gonna be like this and I'm not dilating, I need it. And the lady was like, yeah, let's get it, let's do it right now. So the dude came in to do the epidural, and Gavin came back just in time. And it took a little longer than the epidural did when I was pregnant with Ellie, but maybe that's why this one worked and my epidural with Ellie didn't work. So I got the epidural, everything went well with that. There was a little bit of pain, but I just wanted to feel a little less pain, and I knew I could do it. The anesthesiologist stayed in the room for a little bit, made sure that it wasn't pooling on one side or the other, that, you know, it wasn't up in like my upper torso, that I was still able to do all kinds of different functional stuff, and if it was working and things like that. I could still feel the contractions, but it definitely was working more than it did when I was pregnant with Ellie. So I was in 7th heaven. I still felt a little bit of pain and pressure down below, but nothing that was like anything compared to what I was experiencing. So the anesthesiologist left the room, and the doctor came back in and said, you know, it's about time that we break your water because you're not dilating, and I think once we do that, you'll be right on track. So they broke my water, and this was probably about like 1:15. I don't know, I have no idea, it all happened so quick. And then not even like 30 minutes later, I felt an extreme amount of pressure, and I had about 2 contractions where I was feeling a lot of pressure. The nurse checked to see how far dilated I was. I was at 10 centimeters. The doctor came in. I had 2 contractions where I was pushing, so probably about 2 to 3 pushes within those 2 contractions. And then she was here. She came very, very fast, and it hurt. I mean, yeah, I still screamed a little bit and everything like that. Gavin did great though. I loved having him there. It was so great having him there, especially because it just happened so quick. I remember saying to him, like, when they were like, okay, you can push now, I was like, I'm not ready. I wasn't supposed to have her today. This just all came out of nowhere. And he's like, it's okay, babe, you know, it's all gonna be fine. So she was here. She got here at 1:46 p.m. on January 8th, 2016. And she did pass her meconium, which they noticed when they broke my water. So they cut the cord and then took her over to the little warming station to make sure she was okay. Gavin stayed with me for a little bit, and then I said he could go over there and look at her. And he got to cut the cord a little bit shorter while he was over there. And she weighed 6 pounds and 12 ounces. She has hair. She doesn't have as much as Ellie did. She's got kind of like an old man's haircut, but she was so cute. I couldn't really see her. I saw her from far away, and they were waiting for my placenta to come out. It was taking a little longer than they wanted it to, but overall it all was fine. Her eyes are like a dark gray color, and I'm hoping maybe she'll get Gavin's eye color because his is a grayish blue, but we'll see. And so they brought her over right after I had delivered my placenta, and they were just waiting for like a few more chunks, kind of TMI, but anyway, to come out. And she was so tiny. I know Ellie was tiny, but obviously she was almost a whole pound less than how much Ellie weighed, and she was so precious. She was so little, and she cried a little bit. She was very pink. She came out very pink, and she still is extremely pink and always healthy. They were like, you know what, you could leave tomorrow, but technicality wise I couldn't. And I didn't have any tears. I didn't have any complications. I didn't have any kind of pain down below or pressure or anything like I did with Ellie's delivery. But with Ellie, I pushed for over an hour, and I think since I only pushed like for 2 contractions with Lyla, I just think that's probably why I don't have as much discomfort down there. And I didn't tear. I have like what they call rug burn, but it's like, it's great. I think it helps so much more when you're not in extreme pain down there. And everything from there went great. You know, breastfeeding, she latched very well, and it was just great. It was not what I expected. That whole day, you know, I just woke up and was having contractions, and I was not thinking that was gonna happen that day. And especially when I got there and she's like, "You're at 5 centimeters," instant panic mode. But she was here absolutely perfect. I would not have changed anything besides probably taking Gavin with me to the hospital instead of having to backtrack and get him to come. But I didn't know. I didn't want to, I don't know, just second guessing myself. But yes, so that is my labor and delivery story. So she got here very quick, very unexpected, and Gavin was able to be there. We were able to have enough time to tell all of our family members, even though it came on kind of quick. And Ellie got to where she needed to be. She had a great time. She was basically on vacation and got to hang out with one of her favorite people, which is our friend's daughter. She absolutely is obsessed with her, and she had a lot of fun, I think. My labor was very good. I feel like my body knew a lot more of what to do compared to my first time around. My contractions were very clear with stopping and starting, and they got more intense like they're supposed to, and it just went way more by the book, I guess you could say, than my first time around. But it's true, you know, your body figures out how it's supposed to do. You know, once one baby has paved the way, as people disgustingly say, it goes a lot better. And so overall, I guess you could say I was in labor from 7 a.m. until right before 2 p.m. or you could say from 2 a.m. to 2 p.m. Either way, that's less than half of the time that I was in labor with Ellie. So it was great, and recovery has been awesome for both of us, and Ellie has adjusted, and things are just going really good. So hopefully all of this made sense, and hopefully this kind of curbs anybody's curiosity about how she got here and everything like that. That is my labor and delivery story of little Lyla, and I will link my labor and delivery story that I made for Ellie. I did make it like months and months later than I should have, but I'll go ahead and link that down below so that you can watch that one if you want to. But that's it. I don't have anything else to say, I don't think. But yeah, I appreciate you guys watching, and I really appreciate all of the support that I have had throughout this entire pregnancy, and I'm really excited to start this and go in the right direction with having 2 kids. It's been crazy, but it's a fun new chapter. So I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.